Hello, everyone. This is the Hardcore and the Casual Gamer. I'm Steve McGauley, the Casual Gamer.
And I'm Jesse Nelson, the Hardcore Gamer.
And we are going to be with you every week, as we hope, to talk about what's happening in the gaming world. And this week, without further ado, there's nothing more important to talk about right now than the Nintendo Switch. So we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 1 week later, what we know now versus the tidbits that we got from the release. And so without further ado, we're just going to dive into what we know now. And I think there's a lot of unknowns, for one, that we still don't know, and a lot of questions out there. There's a lot of articles out there on the internet on what we don't know, and we'll touch on some of that. But I guess the first thing that we learned, and probably a little disappointing news that we found out, the Joy-Con charging grip is not the grip that you get in the box. You just get a piece of plastic.
Yeah, but is that really a problem, though? You got two controllers that last for 20 hours, supposedly.
20 hours.
How many? Okay, even if they last half of that, how many of your gaming sessions last over 10 hours? Before you put the console down and to charge it. That's 10 hours.
Okay, but what if... All right, there's so many things that so I'm gonna use a console totally different than you are. For one, for me, this is the 3DS killer, in my opinion. I never owned a 3DS. I never really gave a shit about the 3DS because it was just some fun little kid thing for kids, which is great. And I missed out on having portable Zelda, which I don't care about. But the big game that I did care about is, I didn't get to play Mario Kart. So now I get to play Mario Kart on the go and get a legit HD-ish 720p. That being said,
still HD.
Yeah, it's still HD, but we're in a 4K world. So I don't know. It's frustrating that we're just getting bits and pieces of junk for $300.
Okay, well, you're wanting to use it as a hold on. You're wanting to use it as a portable device.
That's like all I'm really going to use it for. I may hook it up to play Zelda if I decide to get Zelda.
Right, but you're going to be playing it portable. You're going to be playing it portably in your house.
For like 3 hours, which is...
No, if you're in your house, it's going to be like anything else you own. You've got a charging cord. It charges with USB.
Which is nice, because I have the new MacBook Pro, which does have USB-C, which I'm kind of curious. I wonder if I hook up the Switch to my 85-watt MacBook Pro charger, is a Nintendo Switch going to blow up? I'll find out. I'm going to try it. Because for some reason I pre-ordered 2, so we'll see. But let's recap a little bit. So what's in the box coming with the Switch? We get what do we get?
We get the tablet, and we get the Joy-Cons, the left and the right. We get the non-charging grip. And we get the dock for the TV and all the cords and stuff like that. So basically what you would get with any system.
Okay, and it's solid. It's solid. But kind of jumping around the agenda a little bit, but the fact that Nintendo shipped this thing as a tablet that can detach. What if there's more people like me that just want to use this portably and that don't necessarily care about hooking this up to their TV?
I'm not that much different from you, to be honest. I'm going to play it a lot in my hands. That being said, the amount of time it'll be played in my hands will be in my house, which means it'll be plugged in. So that means while the controllers are plugged into the tablet, because that's how you're going to play it, obviously, that they're going to be charging as well. So it's like battery life doesn't matter on any of that stuff.
It totally matters. It totally matters. It matters on so many different levels. A, for travel.
But
This iPad right here will go from here all the way to China watching movies. Done it on a single charge without me having to worry about it.
That's something completely different. Nintendo doesn't want that, and neither did Sony. Let's talk about the Vita for a second, which is another handheld that I loved and took everywhere. It got 3 to 6 hours of battery life playing a big game, not an indie small title. So that's the same thing we're getting with the Switch, all easily solved by carrying your charging cord, which you carry for your iPad or your iPhone when you're going on a trip. It's not like you're thinking, oh, damn it, I have to carry a cord with me.
No, and I don't care about carrying a cord, but here's my thing that I'm concerned about, and I don't know, and another unknown that I don't know yet, is how well will this thing charge over USB? Can I plug this thing into the USB on a plane, which may give me 0.5 or 1 amp output? Is that going to be enough to charge this thing so that I can at least play it and not deplete my battery life?
Well, now
we don't know that.
Yeah, about to say neither of us know that. Nintendo
hasn't said how powerful that charger is. It may be like a 30-watt charger, and so a trickle charge is going to do nothing but slow the inevitable death. You can't fly from LA to New York without this thing dying, which I think is a mistake.
Well, now that's depending on what you're playing. If you're playing Zelda, then yeah, 3 hours is what you're going to get. If you're playing Binding of Isaac Rebirth Plus, which is a launch title which hasn't been getting a whole lot of press.
What the hell is that? Who gives a shit?
I do. I pre-ordered it.
I don't even know what the hell this game is. I've never even heard of it.
Well, Binding of Isaac has been a game for quite a while, and this is like the newest expansion, which just came out on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and it's going to be a launch title on the PS or on the Switch, physically, which is the only place you can get it physically, which I think is neat. And that game, you're going to get a full 6 hours out of it. It is an indie title. It is a Legend of Zelda-esque roguelike that it's just awesome. It's a whole lot of fun. It's like this arcadey, fucked up art style. It's just awesome.
Sure. If you're gonna play indie games, you're gonna get some more life out of it. Here's my biggest complaint about that. I have a tablet that has a 1440p screen right over my shoulder that costs it's a little more. It's a Pro. So, but nonetheless, you can get a 1440p iPad that gets 10 hours of battery life and has just as much power as this system. And the only thing it doesn't have are Joy-Cons, which is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. The Joy-Cons look awesome and seem like they're, Nintendo at its best, doing what Nintendo does. But why the hell can't Nintendo get more than 3 to 6 hours out of a tablet that has a 720p screen that's only 6.2 inches? Now, I know the device is smaller, but how the hell is that possible that they're getting that much less battery life on a screen that uses that much little power?
The answer to this is very easy. Apple has been making iPads for how long now? When did the first iPad come out? You should know this.
I should know this because I am admittedly an Apple fanboy. 2012, 2011?
Probably 11.
Like that?
Yeah. So they've had 6 years to refine and make this product as amazing as it is. Everything you're saying about the thing is amazing. And would I love there to be games on it worth playing? Hell yeah. Oh, absolutely. But there aren't. We got a crappy app store and free-to-play garbage just thrown everywhere. And if you ask people to spend money on a game, the majority are going to say no, even the casual gamer, especially the casual gamer. I mean, even the hardcore gamer, I'm not going to spend $20 on a Final Fantasy game on the iPad. I know it's not worth it. But we're not talking about the iPad today. We're talking about the Switch. So
I'm just saying, the iPad came out in 2010. and had a 9.7-inch screen. And it was a bigger device. And it's
Right,
still
but
got,
now Nintendo isn't saying that this is portable only. So part of their thought process is we want this thing to play games on your TV. So they're in this weird arena where they're developing for two things at once.
sure, but the same can be said for. I'm just saying the same chip that's in the iPads is in an Apple TV, and it can play Sonic at 1080p,
Okay, yes,
full 1080p, not 900p like Zelda. We'll get to
but
that.
how much did you pay for your iPad or any iPad you're gonna buy?
I'm saying the Apple TV is $150. And I can buy, and it doesn't come with a controller, but guess what? Neither does the Nintendo Switch. It comes with Joy-Cons.
It's a controller. It really, or you can buy the Pro controller if you so feel inclined.
Okay,
And-
let's talk about the Pro controller. What? How the fuck does Sony get away with charging $70 for their controller? Nintendo.
Okay.
Whatever. How do you charge? How does Nintendo charge $70 for this controller that everyone's held and says, it feels like a cheap Xbox controller? I mean, I haven't held it, but I've watched so many videos on this. No one's been like, this is the most amazing controller I've ever held.
Until I hold one, I'm not going to say how it feels, but the way I see it is I'm not going to buy one, just like I'm not going to buy a second PS4 controller. I'm not going to spend the price of a game or more on a controller. I've never bought a second PS3 controller. I'm just not going to do it. And if we want to talk about it a little bit, if you want your Xbox controller to be wireless without AA batteries, it costs over $69.99.
If you want a custom controller, sure, but I can go out and buy a second-gen Xbox One controller that has Bluetooth in it that can connect to my PC and can connect to my Xbox for $50. You can find them for 50. You can find them for
you're
$50.
absolutely right. I'm looking at one in a stack of computer parts that I paid $54 for, and it came with the charging dock. It was on sale.
Not to mention the Joy-Cons are flipping $80.
Yes, but again, what you're really getting there is, and some games are not going to use it this way, but Mario Kart is, which is a big multiplayer game. One set of Joy-Cons is 2 controllers.
2 uncomfortable controllers.
We don't know that. Have you held one yet?
I haven't, but just looking at them, if you have midget hands, you should be fine.
I'm not going to judge the feel of them until I have it in my hands. I'm not going to play that way, but you know what? I don't really play multiplayer games. I'm a single-player gamer at core.
You know, the coolest thing about the Joy-Cons is I can detach them and I can sit here like this and play in a more comfortable position. If I could sit back like this, have my hands like that, I think that is an interesting feature that I think I'm going to enjoy more.
I'm going to enjoy it as well, although I do think that I will spend a lot of time with them plugged into the tablet. I mean, I just spent so much time on the Vita, and I feel like I'm getting Nintendo's version of a Vita right here. That I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, I mean, you were in that ballpark, but I never saw into it. Even though I liked the idea more of having to be able to play games portably. I mean, I think really the thing that sunk in for me is I saw Skyrim and saw, okay, if I can play Skyrim on the go between myself and my wife, I can buy this. Because my wife loves Skyrim and plays the shit out of it. She ended up playing it more than I did, which was fine, and I just watched her play. She was arguably better at me than it anyways.
Not surprising.
No, it's not surprising at all. If you talk about FIFA, I'll own you on FIFA.
Hey,
the only people
that's gonna be on Twitch. Aren't you excited?
A version of FIFA. I'm skeptical. All they said is a FIFA title is coming. They didn't say I was going to get the full-blown FIFA.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact
it won't be.
Not to the fact that I'm not going to get all the features that I get on the Xbox One with my game packs and all that. So I don't. So that remains to be seen, and I'm holding my breath that I get a full-blown title out of this. Now, Xbox One's still going to probably have the exclusives, which is fine. But if you give me a full blown FIFA game on that thing, awesome. I'm in. All I really need is that and a good shooter, and I'll be good. And as far as I'm concerned, Splatoon looks, as far as the shooter genre, is like the one game I haven't played that I'm like, I need to play that. But there's no way I'm buying a Wii U to play that damn game.
Oh no, I mean, and listen, you know me, I love Nintendo, big Nintendo fanatic. Always, I've been playing it since I was like 4 years old. Love Nintendo. I didn't buy a Wii U. That thing it was never worth the money. Even though the games that it had, Splatoon and many others, would have been worth some money, but I could not spend any amount of money on the Wii U. It was just garbage.
It absolutely is. And it was, and the biggest thing is that it didn't have titles.
No. It had titles. It
trickled.
I want one because I want to play Pikmin 3. I want to play The Wonderful 101. I want to play Splatoon. I want to play.
First two titles I don't even know.
Do I need to go on?
No, you don't. But nonetheless, nobody cared except for kids. A friend of ours that has two kids. His kids have a Wii U. They love it and they play it, and it was great for them. So that's fine. So they got some stuff out of that. But speaking of games, let's talk about what we know it's launching with. It ain't launching with shit outside of Zelda. Let's be honest. We get Zelda.
We don't know all of that information yet. We don't.
Yeah, we pretty much do.
Did you even know that Binding of Isaac was releasing as a launch title? We don't know all the launch. We don't know all the launch titles yet.
And I don't even care what that game is.
Right, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that was under the radar, only announced by the developer of the game, which means there are developers out there that can still announce before this thing comes out. I think it will launch with more games than what we know now. There's still so much we don't know. I think that is some of it. Now, here's how I see it. When it comes to the small launch titles, the small amount of launch titles, you're only buying this machine if you're a real gamer, like someone who just plays the hell out of games.
Somebody who plays Zelda. Somebody who plays Zelda.
That's
the only people buying this game, buying this console right now. If you're playing Zelda, or if you're like me and
that's nothing to
money
stop
to blow, and you're just like, well, I'm gonna pre-order this. I'm gonna pre-order two, and if it sucks, I know I can throw them on eBay and double my money.
The thing is, you scoff at people who buy Zelda. That is a huge number. Zelda is nothing like.
It is.
Scoffing at Zelda is like scoffing at Halo. I mean,
I'm not scoffing at Zelda. I know. I'm in the large minority that played Zelda as a kid and played it for a couple hours, got stuck, and quit, because that's how I roll with video games. If I get stuck, I quit and I never play it again.
So now think about this from Nintendo's standpoint. If they launch with a Zelda game, for at least a month, everyone that bought it for Zelda is busy and may not be buying another game, because you know what? I've been wanting this game for.
It's how much? Hold on. It's how much bigger than Skyrim?
I don't know. See, I try to stay away from.
No, the world apparently is something times larger than Skyrim's.
See, and that's awesome.
It's 4 or 8. I don't know the numbers. Somebody, if anybody watches this video, somebody will correct me in the comments. It's 4 or 8 times larger than Skyrim is, which is crazy to even.
So it's going to keep you busy. It's going to all those people that are buying it just for Zelda at the beginning are going to be busy. And a month later, there will be people that have ripped through Zelda, and you know what? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be out for them, and within a couple more months, there will be more titles out for them. It's gonna unlike the Wii U. The Wii U have big droughts in between each game. I think they're gonna space these games very well. I think they learned that lesson.
Here's my problem, though. There are people like me that saw the trailer for the Switch. A lot of people that were like, holy shit, that's really cool. So many people, people that I know that aren't even gamers, my wife knows what technology is out based on what I show her. But that was like one of the things I showed her, and she was like, "Oh wow, that looks really cool." And she saw Skyrim and saw these games, and was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." And all these people that aren't like hardcore gamers, that are just like me, on the more casual side, that were like, that looks really compelling, and saw these games, and Skyrim was one that caught most people's eyes because they showed it a lot, and they're like, "Oh, I can play Mario Kart and Skyrim in these games," and they're like, "I get Zelda," and even my wife was like, "I played Zelda back in the day, but I got stuck and I never played it," and I was just like, "Yeah, I never got it." And I'm kind of in the same boat, but I told her, I was like, "Well, this is a little Zelda is a little bit more like Zelda crossed with Skyrim, because let's face it, this is Nintendo.
Absolutely, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's totally what it is." And I'm like, maybe I can get behind that enough that I'll spend $60 to try it, because if you get into it, you'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. $60 for that game's incredible, just like Skyrim was. It's awesome. So with that being said, there's nothing else enticing us casual gamers. Like Mario Kart for the casual gamer would have been wicked awesome, because most of us didn't play it on the Wii U. But you're different, because I know a lot of hardcore gamers, Jesse, bought the Wii U to play some of those games, and I've heard people say this in other podcasts and stuff that, "Well, I already played Mario Kart 8. You're not even releasing a new Mario Kart. Why the hell can't you have released Mario Kart 8 on launch day? Why do I have to wait until the end of April to play it, to get it?"
The way I see it is, these people that are saying these things, and I've heard it too, first off, they're going to buy it because they're fiends like I am. Second off, they're going to be playing Zelda for the first month. They don't need that Mario Kart. They don't need it. They don't need it until a month later, when they're bored with Zelda and they go, "Oh, hey, look, Mario Kart's out now. Yeah, I'll buy that."
But those people don't give a shit about Mario Kart because they've already played it on the Wii U. What about me who doesn't have a Wii U that doesn't want to play Zelda? I've got to wait till April to have the game to play? And then your next real title, Splatoon, in the middle of the summer, that we don't even have a date yet for?
Let's think back to when the PS4 came out, okay? Many people had played through Tomb Raider on the 360 and the PS3. What came out very quickly after the PS4 and Xbox One came out? Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition. Last of Us Remastered. How soon did that come out after the release of the console? How come no one complained that, "Oh man, why didn't they have that on day one?"
Because there were more than 5 titles released with the console.
But really, did you want to play Knack? Did you?
No.
Okay, so there was Call of Duty.
Yes, that's all I need. I got Call of Duty. I can shoot people.
I think that's great. The exact same thing that's happened with the Switch. You got Zelda. That's all you need.
But what if I don't want to play Zelda?
For the first month. If you don't want to play Zelda in the first month, this console is not for you yet. And Nintendo knows that, and they don't care.
Apparently. They're going to give me snipper clippers, or snipper clips.
To pull this,
that looks like a good game.
What we're wanting to get to here is that the Switch is not launching with any apps. It's not.
No, they said today. They said that their focus is on the games. They're playing the Sony card and saying, we're focusing on games. And you know the real reason is? Because nobody fucking has access to this console. No one outside of Nintendo has touched a developer kit or seen the code to be able to build anything for this. So not only do we have crap games at launch, not crap, I mean, we have Zelda. We have Zelda and then shit. Then we have...
Actually, 1-2 Switch looks very fun.
Oh my god. 1-2 Switch should be bundled with the fucking console.
I don't disagree. I don't. I totally agree with you.
And it will be... I guarantee you 1-2 Switch is bundled with the console by Christmas.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I'm a little salty that it's not bundled now, because I would love to play it. Am I going to spend $60 on it? It's not going to happen. Maybe when I can pick it up down the line for $20, which will be far down the line because it's a Nintendo title and they don't depreciate ever.
I'm not playing. I will not pay dime
Well,
for
so
that
now,
game.
see, Steven, the thing is, I have friends that I go and do stuff with that this would be a fun party game. This would be a fun game to get drunk with.
I have friends too that would play this for 5 minutes and be like, "This is stupid."
Yeah, well, you guys are like highfalutin and some bullshit.
What? Because I work in IT and we make a decent living.
I'm grassroots over here, okay? Like, we actually have fun just to have fun. We
By
don't-
grassroots, you live in a van down by the river.
No, not by the river. Obviously, I live in my parents' basement. Okay?
Right. Like every other hardcore gamer. Bring on the hate mail. Bring on the hate mail.
That's all right. I'm one of them.
Okay, so back to the apps thing. So let me explain why this is a miss for now, and it might be okay. It might very well be okay in the long run, because it seems like Nintendo's strategy is, here's the console with Zelda. Hardcore gamers, go pre-order this shit and get your Zelda, and we're going to dump a bunch of consoles onto the market, and then we'll figure out how we want to trickle these things onto the market. They say it's not going to be hard to get, but we'll see come Christmas if these things are sitting on shelves, or if people are fist fighting one another to get these after Black Friday, which I still think will be the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, you know,
so okay, but here, let me get to my point.
Yeah, go on.
So the lack of apps at the beginning doesn't mean anything, because people buying this have smartphones and have tablets like myself. So I don't give a shit about streaming Hulu or Netflix. But here is the one thing that it does affect. And our friend Morgan, Jesse, he was looking at this console, and the first thing he asked me when I was after the release, I told him to watch a video, we talked about it, and his first thing he asked me is, does this have streaming apps? And I said, not yet. And we know that they're going to come. They said that they're not going to have them at launch, which means they're going to trickle out throughout the year, and hopefully they'll have some built up by Christmas. But what apps are they going to have? Because the draw for him is, he said, I could justify to my wife buying this so that I can play Zelda. But I can justify the purchase to my wife if this thing has apps, and I can say it's for me and the 2-year-old. If I can have this tablet be the 2-year-old's tablet to watch videos on. If you can hand it to a kid and say, here's your YouTube videos, you can watch everyone playing Minecraft, and here's Disney XD for your 2-3-year-old that wants to watch Mickey Mouse Funhouse. That's the value proposition becomes much better and much easier for not only the casual gamer but the parent to purchase.
Okay, well, see,
especially in our generation,
it's not going to happen. Go buy a Kindle Fire. Go buy a Kindle Fire. Like, if that's what you want for something to pass over to your 2-year-old.
But that's not the point. It's the point of the matter that people like us that grew up with the Nintendo, that grew up with the original NES in their household when we were kids, are now in their 30s. And some of us are having kids or have kids, and now all of a sudden, and we have wives for that matter, so now we have to be able to justify the cost to our wives. You have to sell it to somebody else. You got me sold, but now I got to sell it to my wife and explain it to her why it's a good idea to spend $300 on this tablet that doesn't have apps on it. Like, how do you tell your wife, I'm going to buy this tablet?
First off, you don't say I'm buying this tablet. It's not a tablet.
I know.
It's not a tablet.
The sell is my sell was, I'm buying a tablet that plays Mario Kart, and we can both play Mario Kart together. That's the real sell. That's the good sell.
Hey, I'm buying a Nintendo console to play Nintendo games. That's all you got to say.
My wife's a nerd, though, so it's different.
Well, if you didn't marry a nerd, you did something wrong in the first place.
Right. So I'm just pointing that out, that I know that there's some of you out there that hopefully will get to watch this video that will understand where I'm coming from. But this console launch has been aimed at nobody but the hardcore Zelda gamer. Like, that's what this launch targets, and that's who it's for, and that's it. Who are going to spend that kind of money? You're going to spend $300 on what I still think is an overpriced console.
That's a Zelda machine right now. It's a Zelda machine. Overpriced. I can't agree with because they launched the Wii U at the same price. That was overpriced. That was overpriced.
Yes,
4 years ago at $300. That was a Tonka toy garbage. This is sleek and nice for $300 in 2017. It's not overpriced.
So it wasn't crazy for me to purchase, right? It was stomachable of a price. But let me tell you this though. For someone who's not going to use that dock and they're trying to sell you that dock as a $90 piece of plastic with
$90 a la carte.
Yeah, but it is a molded piece of plastic with a small motherboard in it that has a USB connector in it and a power plug. That is absolutely absurd.
The reason they're doing that, and I'm not disagreeing with you. That is absurd. It's a lot of money.
It's like beyond Apple pricing for stuff.
But the reason they're doing that is because there is really no. You have to be like crazy to think you need that. And so Nintendo's going, well, if somebody wants to buy that, why not make a good buck off of them because they're dumb.
Dude, they're selling it in the middle of the press conference, telling you put one on every one of your TVs, and you could just
I could go and buy myself a couple PlayStation TVs and do that with my PlayStation in the house. I'm not going to do that. If I want to have my PlayStation in another room in my house, guess what I do?
I move the PlayStation.
I move the PlayStation, just like I would move the dock for the Switch. So the people who think they got to have one of these for every TV in their house, Nintendo's just sitting back going, moron. Cool.
Yeah, but okay, so let's just say this. So that $90 thing, let's call it $45. Everything's marked up 100%. That thing's probably marked up 500%.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Let's just say that it's marked up 100%. If you take that thing out of the box and give me just the console and the Joy-Cons and everything else and charge me $250, I would have legitimately bought two of those. I would have bought one for myself and one for my wife instead of one for myself and one for eBay.
Then here's what you should have done. This is me speculating, so let me speculate for a second. You should have waited a year and a half down the line when Nintendo kills off the 3DS. They're finally done with it, and they finally merged all their game development into one house, and then they sell what you want. They sell you the home version, the home/portable version, or the portable version.
Sure, I'm sure that's coming down the line, but they're just going to.
They can't do it the way you want it right now because they still have 3DSs to sell. They still have games in the pipeline. Those games have to come out before they can make this a truly home console/portable option. Right now, they still have to kind of say, "Oh, we want you to play it on your TV, but you can take it somewhere."
Yeah, they're totally walking the line on that.
Right, and I give it a year and a half once all the games that are in the pipeline come out and they've sold through some overstock and they can start to say, all right, now the 3DS is coming to an end. Then that's when the Switch is going to get real.
I agree. I'll be happy once I get to play Splatoon and Mario Kart. Really, Splatoon. Like I really want Splatoon, and I want Mario Kart, and then I want a legit FIFA game. That's not the FIFA I play on my iPhone, but I've tried to play. Let me say, tried to play on my iPhone. I can't do it. It's just stupid.
I can't play games on my iPhone because they're just not games.
Do you know what I really want? I want Joy-Cons hooked up to my iPad Pro, and that would be the ultimate gaming console. Because let me tell you what, I guarantee you. Well, we know that iPad, which arguably is an $800 iPad, is 20 times more powerful than what that.
The Pro is a nice piece of technology.
I mean, we both have iPad Pros, so I mean,
we do. And I'm going to enjoy my Switch way more than my iPad Pro. I know it.
But let me tell you, if you took Nintendo's games and the Joy-Cons and threw them on the iPad, is that not 10 times the device?
Boy, yeah, but that's like saying, hey, let's put all gaming onto one device by a PC, and then it's awesome. Like,
it is, but I mean, who knows? If this thing flops, that's what's gonna end up happening.
I think Nintendo is smart enough to not let it flop. They're fixing some core problems. They're No longer are we going to have a friend code, which is just, oh, you don't know how awesome that is. I know we're going to have to pay for it. We are. Just like we do on the PlayStation and the Xbox
We have.
One.
I wanted to talk about the streaming service, but there's nothing to talk about because the only thing we can talk about what they're going to have for their Nintendo service. All we know is nothing. Is that it's going to cost money and that they're going to give me game trials. They're not going to give me free games.
Well, okay, so what they're going to do is they're going to give you Super Mario Brothers NES. Hold on. Super Mario Brothers NES for a month. If it takes you longer than a month to get through that and enjoy it, Super Mario NES, classic, awesome game. But is it so awesome that you want to boot it up and play it every day? No. A month's worth of time with it that's enough time to enjoy it.
But what if I don't want to play it for that month? What if I am busy and I don't want to play it that month? But 2 months from now, I'm going on vacation and I want to play it.
Then you'll buy it for $8.
I'm just saying
and you'll be happy. I see this NES right behind your head. You'll buy it for $8 and not care.
Well, that's fine because that thing's still worth $330 on eBay, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying, Nintendo knows they
can't. Still in there. That is not an empty box. The console's actually still in there. I've actually not unboxed it since I first got it.
Nintendo knows that we will triple, quadruple, and continue to buy games we've already bought before. I own a SNES version of A Link to the Past. I own a Game Boy Advance version of A Link to the Past. I own a Wii version of A Link to the Past. And guess what? If they put A Link to the Past on the Switch, I'll own that too.
Because you're stupid.
Because it's one of those games that's it's good. It's so good that I want to have it anywhere I can take it. But this is not Nintendo alone. I own a copy of Symphony Night on the PS1. I own a copy of Symphony Night on the PS3. I also play it on my Vita. This is where Sony has beat Nintendo, and Nintendo, if they are very smart, they start it now going forward into the future, or it's really going to upset me. It's like I bought Symphony Night on the PS3. 5 years later, I bought a Vita, and I just downloaded it straight to that. If Nintendo going forward is not doing that, then this will be the last generation where I buy games on their store.
And who knows? Surely there will be a week that we could do nothing but rip apart whatever this fee is going to be to play games online and get demos of games. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know much about it yet. You're right. You're right.
We don't know, and I'm hoping if they're only going to give us trials, it better be cheaper than what Microsoft and Nintendo were charging, the $50 and $60 a year, and it better be a yearly thing and not like $10 a month thing. Who knows? We'll see where they're at with that, but Nintendo may be out for a cash grab with that because they need the inflowing cash for investors. Because
it could be that, or
the investors are not strong on this console. Their stock is tanking right now after the Nintendo Switch reveal,
which is crazy because the pre-orders are gone. They were gone in 3 days.
And you know what? The stock market gives zero fucks because they are not strong on what this console is going to be because they don't know if it's going to be that successful. Because all they're saying is 2 million and they're sold. 2 million, and in the grand scheme of things, on a console that has who knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars invested.
Think about it this way: 2 million on day one is 1.6 million more than the Wii U ever.
Well, that's a good point.
So, you know what? Actually, that figure may be wrong. That may have been.
And 2 million might not be the pre-orders. 2 million may be also including what they plan on shipping to retailers,
which I think will sell out day one. I really don't think there'll be any problem with that. I know people. I've talked to. This is anecdotal, of course, but I've talked to over 10 people that didn't get pre-orders that are like, I'm going to be waiting in line trying to get one. So I think that's going to be very common.
Well, they can call me and buy one from me too, because when I went to pre-order, I went to GameStop immediately, as opposed to trying some of the other retailers, and GameStop only had their $437 bundle, which includes 1-2 Switch, Zelda, which I'm going to buy Zelda, and some Heroes game that I didn't even know existed or what it was.
Skylander Heroes. It's not for you. It's for kids.
It wasn't Skylander Heroes. It was like Heroes, I don't know, like Big Heroes or I don't know. Some dumb game I've never heard of, didn't see a trailer for. The trailer doesn't exist as far as I know, and didn't care. What they should have done is they should have bundled. ARMS should have came out as a launch title. I would have bought ARMS.
You know what's crazy, and this shows the difference between the two of us, is I think ARMS looks like garbage, and I won't be wasting my money on it. But 1-2 Switch just looks great to me, and you think it looks like crap. So it's funny how that works.
I don't need to sit there and hold this thing up to my mouth and make it look like I'm eating a hot dog or something else for that matter. Watching people play that game,
it's going to be hilarious, and the more drunk you get, the better it gets.
Well, yeah. That could be what they're going for.
And the reason ARMS doesn't appeal to me is, like, if I'm going to play a fighter, I want some Marvel vs. Capcom or some Street Fighter.
Well, is Street Fighter a launch title? How about?
No, is Street Fighter on anything except for this PlayStation right now? No.
Didn't they have some Street Fighter game that they showed that was playable at the Nintendo event in New York? Or at least have video. There's at least video of it.
I think the only fighting game that they may have shown off, and this is nowhere fact, but I think it is a mashup of Fire Emblem and something else, like Fire Emblem and Capcom or something like that. I'm not sure, but it definitely wasn't Street Fighter. Street Fighter 5 is only on the PlayStation 4 right now.
Hold on. Luckily, there's this great thing called Wikipedia that has everything on here.
Wiki what?
Wiki what?
Oh, jeez.
Minecraft will be huge for kids once that releases.
Yeah, Minecraft will be a good one. Personally, I never got into it, but that's all right.
There was some game that I swear there was some Ultra Street Fighter 2.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're right.
Ultra Street Fighter 2, and it is. All it says is 2017.
Yeah.
I knew I saw a Street Fighter game. I'm crazy. Oh yeah, we forgot to add Bomberman as a launch title, which I
think that would be super fun. And I don't think that that'll take more than one Joy-Con a person, and I don't think it'll be uncomfortable because just use the D-pad and push one button.
I will probably buy that, provided they don't ask too much for it.
I will probably buy that if I have at least one other friend that keeps their Switch.
Yeah, my big thing is I'm going to see how much they're going to charge, and I'm going to see how this online thing works, downloading games with 32 gigs of internal. Okay, that's the other thing I forgot to mention with this $300 console. 32 gigs of storage, of which you only have like 15 gig actually available to you.
Nintendo doesn't get it. Nintendo doesn't understand. But they at least said you want to put a in there.
They said you could put a 256 gigabyte.
Nope. 2 terabyte is what they've confirmed. Yeah. It's not available, but
it doesn't even exist yet. So at least they were that forward thinking. But that's the thing. Now I've got to buy another. I mean, a 32 SD card.
You don't have to do that. You don't have. You're thinking about it all wrong. It is not a disc-based system. It is not a system. You're not going to want to buy Zelda digitally. You just buy the physical copy. It comes on a cartridge this big, like
great.
Not hard. Not hard to keep up with. No. I've been keeping up with DS games for years.
So people listening don't know this, but other people. I don't buy physical discs for games anymore. The only physical media I buy is Ultra HD Blu-ray discs because I get superior quality off of that. There's no advantage because I don't want to keep track of discs and cartridges and this, that, and the other thing. I just want to pick the thing up. I want to have every game that I own. I want to have access to it. And I just want to select what game I want to play. I want to click and I want to play it. And I want to play it for a little bit. And then when my ADD kicks in, I want to play something else. I'll hit exit. And I want to go to my next game and I want to play that game.
I understand that, and I love that on the Vita, except for the Vita suffers from the same problem we're talking about here, except for Sony said, hey, we made up our own memory card just for this thing. It cost $1,000 for 1 gig. So
that was the reason I never bought one.
Well, I mean, the Vita is just super duper badass, and I'll put games on there, and when I've completed them, I take them off and put the next one on, and
every time I got close to buying one, I looked at the storage options and how much I had to buy a storage disk and was like, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. No way. Too expensive. But
it's a portable PS1 for me. That's what it is.
Right. So talked about some of the launch titles. Bomberman's gonna probably be my game of choice, even though I'm gonna own Zelda. I don't know that I'll get into Zelda yet. We'll see if it entices me as much as it will keep you and other hardcore gamers out there happy. But what do you think of the fact that Zelda is only 900p, 30 frames per second on the in console mode?
All right, you're gonna have to just step back from the microphone and let me talk for a second.
I'll mute myself.
All right, so it's an adventure game. First off, let's go ahead and clear that. 900p. Well, I personally don't care about the fidelity of my games. If the art style looks good, that's all that matters. If it like Wind Waker, a game that has aged super duper well. This game is very similar aesthetic. It's going to age well. The fidelity doesn't have to be 1080p, rip your eyeballs apart, crisp to be beautiful. Now, as for 30 frames per second, if Zelda was a first-person shooter, yeah, I would be appalled. But no, Zelda is an adventure game. So 30 frames per second is perfectly fine. Let's think back to a game that many people would say is like the best game ever made, even though I don't agree with that. But still, Ocarina of Time. It ran at 24 frames per second. People still say that's the best game ever made. So Zelda 900p, 30 frames per second shouldn't be a problem. The people who think that that's a problem just look at a big number. They see 1080p and they got 1080p, 60 frames per second. Everything's got to be that or I don't want it. Well, that's crazy. Because you know what? In 20 years, you look back at Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and you're going to say, that looks like garbage. When you look back at a game that has some like actual art style to it, that just they took some time to make some breathtaking views, something worth looking at, and just wrapped it up in just a beautiful package, it's going to age. It's going to look great. So no one should be concerned by that.
And so, I don't disagree with anything that you just said at all. I don't. Like I said, I have Ultra HD Blu-rays because I have a 4K TV and I like high fidelity stuff. That's great. And that's why I'm super excited for the Scorpion. And I guarantee you I will talk lots more about that console as we do more shows, because that's why I didn't buy a PS4 Pro, because I want real 4K gaming. But my thing is somebody walking into a store to buy a console this Christmas who maybe just bought a new 4K TV. Anybody buying a new TV right now is buying a 4K TV. More and more people I know are getting 4K TVs. Jesse, I know for a fact you love your TV, but you are not far away from getting a 4K TV. I know that's going to happen. So with that
give it 3 more years.
I'm not going to say 3 more years, because there's tons of 4K TVs in the market already. That's all you can basically buy right now. If I'm walking into a store, I own a 4K TV, and I go, I want a gaming console. Again, I'm a casual guy. A little bit. But go in to get a console, and they say, oh, do you have a 4K TV, or do you have a 1080p TV? Oh, I just got one of those new 4K TVs. It's awesome. Great. Do you want to play games in 4K or do you want to play games in 720p? Well, I just got this 4K TV. I want to see what it can do. Well, here you can buy an Xbox Scorpion that'll play 4K Blu-ray disc, has all the streaming you could ever imagine, and can stream everything in 4K. And you can get that right now. We can get an Xbox One S for $250, and it comes with a free title. Or you can buy this Nintendo thing that doesn't do 4K, doesn't have any streaming, and 720p. It'll almost give you a 1080p gaming. Let's say they tell you get 1080p gaming, and it's $300. The only value proposition in it is that it's Nintendo, and that it's a portable, which goes back to my point about marketing this thing as a portable, and where I think right now, until Nintendo changes their tune, is a big fuck up, because that's the difference that's going to differentiate themselves from the consoles. Because if you put it up against the consoles that are out right now, the consoles are Nintendo, the Xbox One S, and even the PS4 Slim destroy what this console can do. But the only difference is that it's not portable. But they're not selling it as a portable. On paper, yes, you can. I know where you're gonna go. You're gonna go the Nintendo route and say, well, you can't play Zelda on that thing, and you can't play Mario Kart on that thing. But what if you don't give a shit? What if I'm just saying, there's only a couple games. There's nothing. Some people it might be enticing, but for others, it's just like, well, can I get Call of Duty? Can I play a sports game here or there?
And Nintendo's not making this for them. They're not.
No,
but that's okay.
It's a portable. They made a portable, and they're advertising it as a console.
No. Unfortunately, they made a hybrid. I would have been fine with them killing off home consoles and making just a portable. That would be fine for me, because I like portable gaming, and I liked my 3DS.
I agree.
The 3DS had more adult games than kid games. You just don't play RPGs.
Nope, not
That's
really.
Okay.
Outside of Skyrim.
Western RPG. Wait, I don't even really count those. But anyways,
and the Star Wars. I played Star Wars for a while on the
PC. You're taking into account like your whole scenario with the store is, I mean, I've never walked into a store and had anyone give me that kind of spiel.
Well, you didn't walk into Best Buy when I worked there in high school.
But now, okay. I said never, and that was wrong. That was wrong. I haven't walked into a store in the last 4 years where anyone gave me that spiel. You know why? Because I haven't walked into a store in the last 4 years.
You also don't live anywhere where there is a store.
No, that's not true. I go shopping. That was an exaggeration. I do walk in stores, but I don't want. I mean, and maybe it's just me and the type of person that I am, and I probably appeal like that. I'm not the only one like this. I do my research on the internet, and if I go to a store to buy something, it's because for some reason they have it cheaper, and I ain't asking anyone any questions. I'm saying, give me that.
Yes, and I am in large part the same person, but we are nerds. I'm more of a casual gamer than you are by a lot. But I'm still a hardcore nerd and more of a tech nerd than.
But I think that even the not nerds are still not walking into stores anymore. That's why Sears just closed like 400 stores, and Best Buy has closed stores in the last 2 years, and all these major retailers are closing stores. Your scenario is indeed valid. You're right, and if a salesman was really trying, they would do exactly what you said.
They would find out what you have and find out what's best for you. And that's a salesman's job, and to push extra ancillary products on you. But that's fine. But my point is, at where Nintendo's at, even though I know they have a stockpile of money. But where they're at financially in the stock market as a company, they are not in a good position to just be catering to hardcore gamers and just getting those people in. It's important. They need to not be neglected, and they've done a very good job of this. Something that Xbox should learn from, and how to market some shit, because their marketing department fucked up the Xbox One. But they need to sell a lot of consoles.
They do.
And it's so important that they grab a larger market than just the gamers that they know that they can grab with their first party titles and with some nice marketing strategies.
They do. You're right.
The strategy isn't catering to the bigger audience, the Black Friday audience.
Well, now, okay, hold on. I agree with you at this moment. We will see. We don't know everything that's going to happen for the Switch this year. Shit, we don't even know everything that's going to happen for the Switch before the 3rd. I think we need to get some from what we know right now. Yes, you're absolutely right. We will see how it evolves. I think by the time Black Friday rolls around, there will be much more there for those type of gamers. They want to sell their first 2 million units to me alone. They want my room stacked full of Switches. You know, yes. That's why they're launching with Zelda. They want to sell those 2 million units to the people who they know are going to buy them, and then slowly over the year into the holiday season, build up this catalog of services and applications and games that will appeal to more people like you.
Well, let's hope that catalog gets better than what they have currently announced and given us.
I think it will. There's a whole lot out there we just don't know yet.
Let's hope that FIFA's a real deal FIFA. Let's hope. I mean, we know that Mario's gonna push some titles, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking they're saying I'm gonna get the hardcore people at launch with all of this. I'm gonna give them Mario Kart for some of the people like me a little bit later, and then I'm gonna give everyone Splatoon, and I'm banking on that Splatoon's gonna be just like Zelda, and everyone that owns a Switch is gonna own Splatoon 2. And then I'm banking on the fact that everyone's also going to buy Mario at the end of the year, and that I'm going to attract enough kids with Mario that I'm going to get the casual audience with Mario alone. And I'm going to get the kids asking for Mario for Christmas with the Switch. That's their hope.
And absolutely.
And my point is when a kid tells their parents that I want Mario for Christmas and they want a game console, that parent, some parents will just buy what the kid wants, but some, because I'm telling you, because I ran into this when I worked at Best Buy. They came in and they said it's a kid, it's a parent or a grandparent, and they said, "Oh, my kid said something about Mario. He wants a video game system. I don't know. Can you give me a good video game system?" And sure, maybe they'll figure out that they just want to get a Switch and stuff. But some of those people are going to end up buy Scorpions and Scorpios on other consoles, because they're going to look at, somebody's going to tell them this is way more powerful and the same amount of money, or you spend $100 more and you get 4K gaming and you can do virtual reality. Do you want your kid to play virtual reality? Hey, virtual reality looks cool. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that
build a PC if you want your kids to play virtual reality. Just saying.
Yeah, but not everyone can spend $1,500 on a PC just to VR. Just why I'm not doing it, because I know the Scorpion is basically going to give me a 1070, basically a Core i7 1070 GPU like console at the end of the year for $500 or less. So I'm going to buy that, because that's a lot cheaper than what I can get a 1070 build, a 1070 GPU a gaming PC right now, which I know is going to cost me at least $1,300 to $1,800. So I'm going to let Microsoft subsidize that shit for me.
That's true, but we're not here to talk about that.
No, I don't. But that's my point. They have to get this marketing right, and they have to have some other stuff that comes out, and hopefully they can do this properly and can get enough people in that they can survive. Because if they don't have a good strategy to sell a ton of these consoles, this is probably the last console Nintendo ever makes.
Then this is my closing statement, and I think we've pretty much said all we can say about this first week of the Switch. Is whether the Switch flips in those great numbers or it flops and doesn't, if this will not be Nintendo's last system. They have the money to do it. They're going to be fine.
I know. I figured that you would say they'd be fine.
They're just going to be fine. Like, they've been a company since the 1800s. They've always made kids games. They've always just made games. They haven't made video games forever. They started out making cards. Then they went to the arcade, which basically had Duck Hunt in the arcade before Duck Hunt was on your TV. Then they decided, oh, look, Atari's doing something cool, but they're failing at it. Let's save it. They did. They will be making things for much longer than Sony or Microsoft will probably be around. They are smart like that. They have the stockpile for that. So I know that it's a popular thing to say this is Nintendo's doomsday, and hey, the GameCube didn't do so well, so that's their last console. The Nintendo 64 didn't do so well, that's their last console. Wii U didn't do so well, they better do well next time, or that'll be their last console. They just have so much money that that's not the case.
They do have that much money, but the stock market controls that, and their stock is not doing well. The only thing helping their stock right now are their mobile games. is Pokemon Go, and Mario-ish is doing okay. It's not. I don't think Mario's even doing as well as a lot of people had hoped, based on the amount of levels that they have. I like it. I actually think it's really cool. I think
it's garbage.
Do you think it's garbage?
Yeah, absolutely. I would not pay $10 for that.
You didn't pay $10? You didn't buy it?
No, I played the demo and thought, you know what? This is not what I want. This is not a game. This is something to play while I'm taking a shit. And guess what? While I'm taking a shit, I'm reading an article about video games.
It's on my home screen. I paid $10.
They made that for you, not for me.
I paid $10, but here's the thing. I haven't even played past the demo. I paid $10 the day it came out. I just bought it. You know why? Because I wanted them to do more games like this. I want them to move. I mean, if they made the Joy-Cons Bluetooth and let them hook up to this thing, I would buy Joy-Cons, and I would much rather play games on this with Joy-Cons than have to buy another console with a crappier screen than everything out there. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's going to be the hard sell for them. Is you're selling. People know 720p screens, and they know when they're buying a phone, people want 4K screens on their fucking phone. Which, don't get me wrong, 4K on your phone is unnecessary. It's too small. At 1440p, you're already at Retina, so you can't see the pixels anyways. So people know those screen resolutions, but it's going to be. I think people like the fact that they have this on their console, in their hand, in their pocket, having Mario in their pocket. I love it. So, I would love to see more of it, but that wasn't even on the agenda for today. That's something we could touch on another day.
Just to add a little tag on to that, they do have 2 games coming out that I would love to talk about in the future. An Animal Crossing title and a Fire Emblem title, which they just showed off the Fire Emblem title. So look it up. We'll talk about it, and hopefully maybe next week at least a little bit.
I did. I looked it up. I was like, what the fuck is this game? Everyone's talking about it. I don't even know what the hell this thing is. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what that is and if I'm even remotely interested. I glanced at it and was like,
yeah, you won't be.
I probably won't.
But it is there.
I don't know. Maybe I'll buy it just so they make more games. All right. Well, if you stuck through this, I know we went over an hour. We're going to try to cap these at an hour each week to give you little thoughts. We had a lot to talk about with Nintendo Switch this week. I'm the casual gamer.
I'm the hardcore gamer.
is the Hardcore Gamer. And we're going to try to be here each week on YouTube to talk about games. So like us, comment, do what you want. If you have any thoughts, drop something in the notes, email us. We are hcversuscg@gmail.com. That's hcvscg@gmail.com. Same thing on Twitter, hcvscg, hardcore versus casual gamer on Twitter and Gmail. So please reach out to us, follow us, like us. Thanks a bunch, Jesse. It was fun, and we will see you next week.
Good night.